Anin, I greet you all in a humble and respectful way. Thank you for coming out tonight, being engaged, listening to everybody what we have to say. So my name is Sangwais. I've been council for, I believe, 4 terms. So my spirit name is Blue Thunderbird Woman, and I'd like to thank Wayne for blessing us with this beautiful evening and for the prayers. I'd also like to thank my nominator, Ray George McCollum, and my seconder, Misty Spoker. My parents are the late Blair Sangwais, and my mother is Connie Sangwais. My Musham and Cookum is the late Moses and Edna Sangwais, and my late Musham Alec Wolf. I was just reading his book the other day, and it started making me think about the history of where we come from and our roots from Turtle Mountain, and how it plays into the factor of the traditional land use study, and how it needs to be updated so that we can properly document our past trade lines, where we come from. We need to expand beyond the boundaries of our First Nations so that we could use this tool to help us negotiate and protect our lands. There was probably about a month ago, there was me, Chief, and Councillor Paula Goose. We went to Ottawa and we went to this historic Chiefs meeting with the Prime Minister. And he sat there and listened to all of our concerns. And they're talking about implementing Bill C-5, which is gonna affect our treaties. And we need to ensure that we're prepared, because what this bill does is that it can fast stream projects like, say, a potash company coming in, tapping into our aquifer. And you know, the aquifer is where we get 90% of our drinking water. So we need to think of areas to help protect our water, our land, and our environment. So, you know, we have to practice and implement our free prior informed consent, our UNDRIP, and we have to ensure that we protect our lands and that we don't bring this type of development into our communities. We need to move away from the Indian Act. We don't need self-government agreements because we have the treaties, and that's what we'll have to utilize to get out of the Indian Act. And for that, we need to create our own legislation. We need to work on our justice system, you know, knowing our traditional and natural laws and bringing back that type of justice system to our communities, like the warrior societies and the grandmother's clan. Instead of going through provincial court, I believe that if we bring back our culture and our traditions, that we'll become stronger and united, and that we don't need the government and we don't need their funding to cover us. You know, congratulations to the membership that passed the Financial Management Act. That's huge. You know, it holds current and future chief and constable liable. If there's any misspending of monies, that is held accountable. So that's a really good accomplishment that the membership had approved upon. So the treaty also talks about our health. You know, we need to address FNIB and our funding agreement. There's medications that we need covered by our treaty. I'm gonna use cancer, for example. There's a certain kind of medication that our people need, but since our treaty benefits doesn't cover it, they give a Band-Aid solution of opioids, you know, and so I think we need to go there and start targeting the provincial and federal level to address our health benefits. I've seen the institutional system that how the doctors make monies off of prescriptions. We need to address that as well too, because you could see someone going into the institution and they get prescribed a medication that they don't even need, and then they release our people, and then they're just hiding the trauma. And I hear other candidates talking about intergenerational trauma. And that's one thing that we have to go back, because the intergenerational trauma has affected us all, each and every one of us. We need to focus on food sovereignty. We have a greenhouse, but a greenhouse is more of an area that we weren't ready for, so we need to build up the capacity and do our investment into getting that up and operated. We need to work on partnerships like the co-op and address to where we can supply a cooperative system for our food so that we can keep our greenhouse operational. We go to the bison. Bison is very healthy for us to eat, so we need to work on going through the production. There's only one facility in Saskatchewan that can certify slaughtering a bison and putting it into the restaurant. We have Moose and Bannock. We could be offering these types of products to our businesses. Back in December, we did a bison transfer agreement with the Broken Head First Nation. So we're practicing our nation-to-nation relationship and building. It was a very powerful event, and I'm very thankful that I was there to witness it and feel the energy. It was really empowering. The bison, they brought unity to us. We had 2 knowledge keepers there. They worked together, and that made my heart happy. And I can't wait for more knowledge keepers to come in and help us look after the bison. It's something that we'll be doing moving forward, is keeping that unity. So our bison, we got gifted 22 bison, and in the 5 years, we built our infrastructure for 100 head. Well, we doubled that capacity. We're at 200 now, and we're at year 6. So, we did an on-reserve market study probably about 7 years ago. And in that market study, the membership, which were a part of the surveys, and all of our communities on and off reserve, even our surrounding communities, they all had input into that market study. So that directed us where we went with our economic and business development. So I take that as guidance and direction, and I follow that still to this day. So with our area where the bison are located, we've already expanded that area. So in that market study, it did talk about and address that there is perfect and prime land located in Littlebone. So I believe that's where we need to go, and we need to follow our membership and live by that. We need to work on resort development. We have a lake with huge opportunity. You got to build key relationships to bring in key partners, because we need the capital investment. Back in the 80s, there was this concept plan of the Pasadena property development. It was a beautiful plan. When I came across it, it was like they had a vision of a resort, a healing center, a history trail of all of the, this will be to be continued tomorrow. I only got through half. But yes, that plan needs to be revitalized and brought back, and we need our people to document and tell us stories, because Indigenous culture experience is the new industry internationally and globally, is that hospitality. So with this, I will continue my speech tomorrow because I ran out of time, but Kichimengwich for everybody listening and taking the time, and I wish you all safe traveling home. Thank you.